Hi everyone, this is Lada from Astrolada.com, and today I'm here with your favorite life coach and a very good friend of mine and a mentor to me for now 8 years, I think, Mike Amato. Hi, Mike.
Hey, Lotta, how are you today?
I'm great. Lovely to see you again. Thank you for taking time from your busy schedule because Mike travels all over the world, runs banks, runs businesses, coaches, CEOs, coaches, normal people. And I'm so glad you took time to, and many people from the previous videos that we did ask if you can do some Q&A, answer some questions, and if you can do a webinar about how to create financial independence. And because you do that personally with your clients, but many people can't afford because sometimes, it's big fees. But for people that want to understand, you give this knowledge to everyone who wants to join us on the 12th of August, only for $45 for the next 2 weeks. And after that, it goes to $65. So early birds get $20 off. And you're going to share with us all the secrets and all the steps, not only how to create wealth mindset, but the steps to actually achieve financial freedom. So you can tell us a little bit about that. And by the way, Mike Amato has been in business for 40 years. He's been the head of many international banks. Here he has a lot of many businesses, and he's an amazing person, as you'll see. And everyone goes to advice to him. And we're like, Mike, you have to share this with normal people like us who can, who are not, others are not your friends for free advice and not your clients. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe a few tricks or maybe secrets of creating financial independence and freedom, and how you can how the wealth mindset is achieved?
Hey, Lotta, thank you so much. You always introduce me so well. If nothing else, I will always do these calls because I love your introduction. So,
Well, you contributed so much to me when I was starting my business. You gave me so much advice that I'm still using it today.
well, you sure are because I mean, you've taken it to a whole new level. So, as always, I congratulate you on your success. And, I love doing these calls with you because your subscribers are so cool. I've met a lot of them through subscribing to my channel, and and I've interacted with them through private emails and things. So it's really great to see you. It's really great to talk to your channel again and to your subscribers again about something that's pretty important. It's one thing that as you said, that people ask about. So how do I, achieve financial success, and how do I create a wealth mindset? And the clue lies in actually creating a wealth mindset, which is the title of our Q&A today. But truly, if somebody out there is looking for saying, just, I haven't had the secret yet. I don't know the way to achieve success that I've always dreamed of, that I always wanted to. And in fact, I maybe read The Secret. And so I'm having a hard time manifesting. So my whole approach says, look, the first thing is always understand, if I can do it, you can do it. And, so I started as a janitor making $4 an hour. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I had no direction in my life. I had to figure things out. I started at an entry-level job at a bank, and 24 years later, I was a president. Along the way, I learned some experiences and things kind of the hard way. I didn't have somebody to sort of guide me through the steps.
Or your dad to leave you inheritance and hedge fund or something.
That's right. Yeah. So we but I always looked at the steps. I always kind of decided what creates success and what doesn't. So stop the things that don't help and start the things that do. And over the course of time, as you mentioned, Lotta, even with you when you started your channel, there's some principles that we talked about. So the idea is to bring to your group of people, your fine group of people, I might add, sort of a program that will talk about exactly what those steps are. And the same program that I do for executives, because it's no different if you're a CEO and you're trying to run a multi-billion-dollar organization. It's always about fundamentals. And these are the fundamentals about wealth. They're the fundamentals about the thing that will create financial freedom. So just briefly, I'll explain that first of all, mindset, creating a wealth mindset, which is the title for today's call, is starts there. See, if we understand that we play a role in what we do, if we understand that it's our actions that will dictate our success. Now, if you don't understand that, we can go back further and explain why that is. But you do create a role in your success, and you do have actions you want to take. Well, you need to understand what is in the mind that creates those actions, and how do we turn ourselves loose to do the things that will help us be successful, and do them in a way that will help us accelerate or rush towards our goals and our objectives. So we'll talk a lot about mindset, because it's absolutely crucial. Without that, the table's not set. Nobody can eat, okay? So mindset's the first thing. Second thing is, as I mentioned already, you play a role. Now, a lot of people, as I mentioned before, I always say this, but a lot of people read The Secret and they sit on the couch and wait for money to come down. And again, if it works for you, good luck. I'll buy your webinar. But I'll tell you what it turns out is that it puts you in a mindset where you can do something with it, where you can create something with it. And again, Lada, you're just a shining success of somebody who took some very basic principles and applied them and built a fantastic business. So you play a big role. I'll talk about the 3 critical things that you need to do yourself to make sure that you're going to be successful. And again, we've set the table with the right mindset. Now, how do you begin to take action in terms of understanding what you need to do?
So it's more like the practical side you want to show, not only like, oh, meditate, visualize, but what are the actual practical steps that you turned around banks with, and that you created businesses with, that you became a self-made millionaire through in the hard way. You have to figure it all out on your own, but you're going to give this to us on a plate. And people should not be surprised that they have work to do. It's not just, but it starts with the mindset, as you said. So sorry for interrupting again.
No, but that's perfectly well, because everything that I talk about are things that are extremely doable. I've said before, Lada, as moving up the chain of command to become the president of the bank, I can tell you there's not many times, maybe never, was I the smartest person in the room. But I'll tell you what, I had a way of kind of looking at things and sort of breaking them down to their common components and taking very complex concepts and boiling them down to actionable steps. And that's what this program is about, is actionable steps that anybody can succeed with, and that they can change their financial future and certainly create a wealth mindset to do that. And then finally, the thing I'll talk about at the end is really, what is that process? Okay, so now I've got the right mindset, Mike. I've read the right books. I meditate. I'm in the right place. My energy is flowing. Now, okay, what do I do? And that's the tricky part, where a lot of people kind of fade away in terms of giving advice. And I'll give you specific steps that you can take to create a real strategy, and what the elements of a strategy is for for whatever your chosen avenue is. So let's discover that avenue, and I'll show you how to apply the learnings to that specific plan so that you can succeed.
I have clients who come to me and say, what stone should I wear, or what kind of mantra should I repeat to become rich? And I'm like, it's not stones or mantras, it's practical steps you should take, but I cannot give you the plan for that. And I guess that's what people need the most to hear now.
That's it. And it's such a big gap from wanting to be wealthy and knowing that I want it, and then where I am today, that sometimes it's so big that it creates inaction. And what we want to do is take steps that close that gap and make next action logical, make sure the next action is feasible. And Lada, you give people a roadmap in the stars, right? So there's a roadmap in the stars for their lives, and they've got the ability to act or react. So whatever's going to happen, but you give them some very important markers in terms of how they might want to pursue different avenues in their life, etc. Well, let's take that and take that knowledge that you're imparting on people. Let's use that map and let's go somewhere with it. I mean, we can talk about taking journeys all day long, but if we don't take that first step, it doesn't happen. And
the first step, you said, starts with changing your mindset.
Changing mindset.
Because people are asking, we're going to talk about mindset, and they're asking like, how do you change a mindset from poverty to wealth?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, there's actually, the more I've delved into this subject and understand the mind, that I think we have to understand the human brain. And so I'm going to show information from neuroscientists that show what happens in our minds that keep us inactive and what needs to change to make us active, because that's what we're trying to do, is activate those neurons so they fire in the right sequence that we need in order to become successful. So I want to be really clear. This is about a change program. It's not about doing the same thing you've done and maybe it doesn't work. And I shouldn't say maybe it doesn't work, because most people that I talk to say what I've done doesn't work. So we're going to give a clear case for change and a change signal. And I'll show you how the neuroscience gives, pardon me, not the neuroscience, how neuroscience gives the clues to the things that you need to do to activate the parts of your brain that will drive emotions, drive behaviors, drive actions. And it starts in and works out. And I'll show you those things because it's really cool. I have to tell you, I'll even go back and explain a little bit about neuroscience because so many people talk about it. I'm not sure there's a great understanding of neuroscience. So I'll even talk a little bit about that so that we really, really have something that we can begin with, a good platform and build off of that.
Wonderful. And for our viewers now that are watching, can you give us some steps? Can you give us some steps that are specifically for the mind, for the wealth mind, for the changing it? Because I started with a really bad poverty consciousness. I come from poor background, and I always thought that this is how I'm gonna be, and I just didn't believe I can make money. And I don't even know how it happened that for me it's changed, but there must be a clear way that can help people, like practical advice, how they can change the mindset from poverty to more wealth, to believing at least that they are capable of creating that. And I went to so many astrologers and psychics, and they all told me you can make lots of wealth, you chose in your horoscope, but when you don't feel it within, what do you do to make yourself, because you need to start vibrating with this high vibration that you deserve it, or that you can make it, that it's possible. How do you first shift the mind to that level?
Oh, man, Lana, you asked the very best questions, and I love the way you ask the questions. I'm taking notes because it's really a great way to enter the understanding of this. Vibration is exactly the right thing. So we're all vibrating, right? Because it's a definition of being alive. And the question you have to ask yourself, am I vibrating in a way that's chasing away wealth, money, financial freedom, or am I vibrating a way that attracts it? So what is that vibration? And to me, it starts with, just taking some notes here and I don't have my glasses on, but first of all, it starts with no matter what, you're always right. See, so many times we play this right, wrong game, right, wrong, win, lose. And I just would give it to you right now, to every one of your listeners, you guys are always right. If you think you can't do it, you're right. But if we can change that and say, I think I can do it, you're more likely to be right, that you will be right. And then when we change it to, I know I'm going to do it, you will be right. So please, guys, no more right, wrong game. You're always right. And you have to begin by knowing that you have the power to change that vibration around not being right or wrong, but around being a mindset of being successful. And we're going to talk, and we'll talk about how to do that. Now, first step in how to do that, okay? So very practically, what I see is a lot of people have low ceilings. So you just described, Lada, that you were born into circumstances that you couldn't control. None of us control the circumstances. There's theories that say we do, but let's just accept right now that you came into this world and there were circumstances and you had to adapt to those circumstances. And those circumstances work to put a ceiling on you. And they told you what is possible in your life. And sometimes it can be disheartening if that ceiling is very low, because you see people that are succeeding where maybe you're struggling. You say, why is that? And a lot of it is your inherent belief in your ceiling, what's possible. I'll give examples in my career of how I learned about creating stretch goals. I will tell you what, right here and now, there's only one stretch goal. I shouldn't say it. There's only one stretch goal that I've never, that I have never failed to hit. So every time I set a stretch goal, I hit that stretch goal, and I don't exceed it by a mile. I exceed it by just a centimeter, by an inch. Now, there's one big one that I haven't hit yet, and I'll be honest with you, it's being able to my goal is to help 1 million people, help them understand how easy it is to create a mindset where you'll succeed. I haven't achieved that yet, so I'm still working on that. So changing the ceiling is really important. Stretch goals move the ceiling, and remember, you're always right. So when your ceiling moves, so too does your ability to expand. Remember, the fish grows to the side of the pond, to the size of the pond. Well, let's make your pond bigger, and let's show you how to grow inside that pond. It's very, very natural once you look at it that way. Finally, the third kind of step I would say is that I'm going to show you a model that shows how we hold each other back. Remember, I said that vibration either holds us back or it can accelerate us into the future that we want to have. And what happens is the road most traveled is a cycle. and a way that we view things that gets us the same result over and over again and creates the life that we have. Now, sometimes that's successful, right? We have lives and we're succeeding. But if we want more, then we say, okay, let's do something different. And I'll show this model that says how to get off of the road most traveled, and let's put you on a different road. It's a road you've been on before. Everybody's been on it. Sometimes we don't take it very frequently because we didn't make it a conscious step. So the final part of this thing is let's talk about the road least traveled, and I'll show you how to activate parts of your mind using, again, the knowledge of neuroscience that will create success and help you create success. Can I make one more point to your question about money? I get what you said, Lana, because when you say that it's very daunting and you see people succeeding, you just don't know how to do it. You don't know what to do. Just kind of trying to figure things out. And I'll tell you, what's really important is to understand what happens in most conversations that we get around wealth, around a financial freedom. What happens is that we look at the financial freedom as the input. And in reality, we're the input. Financial freedom is the result of something. Well, we need to talk about the something, and then financial freedom happens. And what's that word called? Manifestation. So you visualize what you want to have. Of course you do. But hey, I don't know if you've read Abraham Hicks a lot. I love that book. Whenever I have a problem, I look at Abraham Hicks and I open the book, and it's got whatever the page is, it always helps me. Abraham Hicks would say you need to allow that. You need to manifest that. And so then you would go general to do it. So again, I'll describe how to go from specific. Great. I've got that ceiling now identified. But now I'm going to go general and do some things to allow that to happen. It makes the vision or the wealth mindset, not the wealth mindset, but the wealth, an output of a bunch of things that you yourself can do. Make sense?
I don't know. I have to see. So you're saying that we need to have a specific goal initially to visualize it, but after that, once we have it full in our head, in our consciousness, we should go general. It's like for the steps to reach there, you mean? We should not, because maybe we have in our mind, oh, this is my goal, these are the steps I'm going to reach there with, but you should allow fluidity for the steps, so you should not get too, how they say, anal about how you're going to get there. Is that's what you mean by becoming general?
Yeah, it's too much. It's too much. If let's say one person might have a vision of saying, maybe my vision is to have $20 million. Okay. And today I have $3. Well, the more I visualize 20 million, the more impossible it seems. And I get a little bit flustered and I don't know what to do. And what happens when I don't know what to do? I freeze. What happens when I freeze? I go into a cycle of despair a little bit because it's not happening. It's not happening. I'm smiling because I'm supposed to be happy, and I'm visualizing it and I'm feeling but it's not happening. So what you do is you create that vision. Let's say it's $20 million. For somebody else, it may be, I just want to be financially free so I can sleep at night. So it's very personal to each person. But you have that vision, then you go general. Then you say, okay, that's where I'm going. I'm going on this long journey. Now, what do I do to start the journey? What shall I pack? And focus on that and let the journey unfold as you develop your plan to get there.
So you just focus on the next step rather than on penultimate step before the 20 million. That's what leaves me sleepless at night for a long time when I'm saying, I want, say, 200 people for this webinar, whatever. And I'm trying to imagine, how do I get there? And I feel sleepless, and I feel unhappy, and it hits me on the health. Or how do I provide enough money for everyone that works there? And it leaves me very restless. It's stressful. And the only thing that actually helps me is just going and doing the first step and stop thinking about that.
That's right. The longest journey starts with one small step, and it really does. It's nice to know where you're going, but now pull back and say, okay, how do I begin this first small step? And what is that first small step? It's hugely important because remember I said mindset matters. Well, if you're defeated before you start, so today I'm in Seattle. If I'm going to walk all the way to New York, wow, what a stretch goal. Great. Fantastic. But if I obsess on how many steps it is, if I obsess on how I'm going to get over the Rocky Mountains, how I'm going to swim across the Mississippi River, how I'm going to do this, that, the other thing, if I obsess on it, I will stay right here and never start.
Exactly. Just like when I think, oh, I want to lose 10 kilos, and I obsess on the 10, not on I want to lose half a pound this month, maybe. But a lot of people have this opposite, they set high goals and they get discouraged because they're too high. But you're saying we should set for ourselves high goals. We have to believe it's possible, but then retreat back to the first step and to the thing that we can do right now, rather than freak out about the later steps.
Exactly right. And I'll tell you what, the bigger that gap is, I have to tell you, the bigger it is, the more exciting the journey. See, what we can't lose sight of, stress and worry, I don't know they've really ever solved a problem ever. All they do is chase away what you're looking for. What does help you, and again, neuroscience gives the clue to change your mind and change how you think about things, that what does help you is a focus and intensity, but it doesn't have to be grim determination, Lada. This is a journey. And if you think about things that you've accomplished, and everybody listening right now, think about something you're very proud of accomplishing. And I have to ask you, isn't part of the beauty of that accomplishment, as you sit back and you revel in that, say, you know what, I'm really proud of that. Because gratitude is a huge thing in terms of the right vibration, right? So I really am grateful for that experience. I really am proud of what I've done. But when you look back, sometimes the most exciting part is not knowing how it's going to turn out. So the idea is, let's launch on a journey of curiosity, of joy and seeking fulfillment, but knowing that the magic lies in a worthy cause, which is our goal, and in learning how do we apply ourselves and become our most powerful selves to achieve that goal. These are all the things that fold right into this method that I talk about.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, wow, it's gonna be interesting.
I love talking about it, Lada. I just love talking about
and
it.
is there like practical advice, like for example, because I still have poverty consciousness. I might have a bit more money, but I have to remind every day myself, because every day I wake up, I see, what if tomorrow internet falls down, or what if tomorrow no one makes an order, and I live constantly in fear financially. But even though I've attracted it, but I'm thinking it's more possible now every day, when it's been consistent for the last 1 or 2 years, that I can pay my bills and save a little bit on the side. And I'm starting to think, wow, actually, this is something real. But I still have this mentality that money is scarce. And I have to remind myself. And what helps me is always like putting affirmations around and repeating them. And when a negative thought comes, because I have so many planets in the second house of money, I worry about money all the time. And this is a bit of astrological thing. But what helps me is substituting a thought of poverty and fear, because you cannot stop such thoughts. They'll be there. Substituting it instead with a positive one, because you can't oust one thought unless you bring in another one. So I kind of put, maybe you can advise people to put paintings of abundance, or to look at abundance, or to read articles about abundance and how it's possible. Especially people like me, who even when they have it, they don't think it's possible. I need to constantly remind myself, and I avoid and I never read articles of failure or stories of failure. I always focus on reading of success and of people who are rich all the time, who are very successful. I always look at the life stories of someone who, because oftentimes you worry, well, I might have success for 2 years, but after that everything might go down the drain. So I'll watch like Oprah or people like that have been rolling in success for 20, 30 years, just like it's happening with you as well. And that's what helps me keep this mindset of poverty away, so to speak.
Yeah, that's really interesting you say that, because it's incredibly challenging. And there are times that everybody gets worried, right? I mean, I was talking to a friend of mine about 6 weeks ago, and he's a multi-millionaire. And I knew him when he had literally had nothing. And he has 3 houses now, one in Napa Valley, one in Sun Valley, and one in Seattle, a big condo in Seattle. And I said, so now you must be above worrying. He goes, Mike, I worry every day. He said, sometimes when I slip, I'm worried about this, that, and the other thing. And how do I establish myself? He says, so worry never stops. But I go back to something that I learned very much early on. Remember, key part of manifestation is gratitude. And one time when I was younger and I had a shoulder injury. I played baseball and I had a shoulder injury. And the doctor said, this injury is a real gift to you. And I said, why? Because it's a contrast to what good health looks. He goes, when the last time you told yourself how nice my shoulder feels today? By the way, how's your ankle today? How's your hip today? You didn't even talk about those, Mike. He said, so why don't you look at this as the universe providing a contrast for what it would be like to have a healthy shoulder again? So that's a way, and in a very different way of saying, become grateful for the stress. Embrace the stress because you do want to have an outcome. We do have obligations, and it is just part of life. But once you appreciate the contrast the universe gives you, you approach that stress with different energy and you start channeling it. And that channeling is called empowerment. So
gratefulness is one of the key ingredients. Yeah, I'll say my prayers every night and I thank God. Yeah, because when you're full with gratefulness, you don't have space to be filled with fear and worry. That's absolutely, yeah. And you can't stop fear and worry out of yourself. Like they say, you cannot make yourself stop being fearful. You have to substitute it with something else.
Yeah. Think about it. You can catch a cold from someone, but can you catch good health from someone? You know, so we don't think of life that way. We don't think of things like that. Well, the answer is yes, you can, but we don't look for that. So good health is contagious, and good health needs to be appreciated. And sometimes good health is appreciated more. For any of you out there who might have some health issues, whatever, you know what I'm talking about. You would do anything to be back to where you were. You would do anything to it. Seriously, more important than wealth. So that contrast that the universe gives us can be very, very helpful, or it can totally derail us and cause us to fold them into ourselves.
If we just focus on the negative and on the contrast, basically.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have all seen these videos, right? I saw a video the other day on Facebook, and this young person with no arms or legs painted a picture that I couldn't paint with 2 arms and 2 legs. I couldn't paint with 4 arms and 4 legs. So this child painted this beautiful picture with no arms and legs. And I started thinking, and I have problems? But he didn't look at it as a problem. He said, I want to paint a picture. That's the outcome. So he took the steps, he started doing it. And there's the girl with no hands who can play the piano. If you want examples, just Google, just ask yourself, hey, please give me examples. Google's like the universe, right? Give me examples of people who have made something from nothing. Give me examples, because that lights up your inspiration. That's your motivation to say, you know what? Be grateful for pain, even be grateful for health, be very, very grateful. We have a lot of things we're grateful for. And again, that's the fuel that allows us to bring our inspiration to life.
Yeah, so basically for the wealth mindset, it will be very helpful if people read books of success, for example, to get first to that wealth mindset so you can start attracting wealth, because you start believing it's possible. So that's what I would read a lot, success stories. That's one of the things.
Good. And a lot of you signed up for my webinar. And if you sign up for my webinar, you won't need to read that book. I'll save you lots of time.
Oh, please, because I'm constantly have to put affirmations, and I have to, even to my husband, I have to say, we'll be successful, baby. We'll be financially well. We'll be wealthy. And, I want to make my subconscious believe it as well. So teach us how the subconscious can believe it as well, rather than just the mind.
If we ignore that, we ignore all solutions, right? So you're exactly right. And we all have noise in our heads, right? So the noise has to be managed, right? I heard an athlete one time on describing a speech on how he managed. We said, were you nervous going out on the football field? And he said, do you get butterflies? He goes, I get butterflies so bad I have to throw up before the game. I get so nervous. He said, but the trick is to get those butterflies to fly in formation, so that I'm managing my nerves to produce better, to perform better was the word he used. And so I like that analogy. It's okay to have be stressed about and be worried about our futures. That's okay. But let's get that fear. Let's fly in formation, and let's figure out how to change our minds for producing the right energy from that fear. Look at fear as your motivation. Okay. That's all it is. Motivate you to do what?
Oh, that's great. Yeah, exactly. That's a driving force for me, big time.
Yeah. So Lada, you need to attend my seminar. I don't want to oversell it, but I think it'll change your life.
Make me even richer. At least stop me from worrying all the time, because now it's coming, wealth is there, but I'm like, what if the banks collapse tomorrow? What if the dollar loses its value? Like, I have all those doomsday scenarios in my head.
Well, and Lada, you bring something very, I know you're kind of making light of a situation, but there is something that's very important that we can talk about to the degree that your viewers want to do it as we go through the course that I want to walk you through on August 12th. Okay. As we go through it at the end, if you'd like to talk about money management concepts, because I want to explain the power of risk and reward, and every person has a different risk tolerance. And that risk tolerance is very personal. And nobody, I mean, I shouldn't say nobody should talk you out of it, but you should go with your energy in terms of risk. Some people will bet a lot to try to make a lot, okay? Some people want to get every penny and save it. And that's called personality. That is your core values. So there's ways to look at money management so that you can maximize returns that balance it with your risk profile. And again, a lot of people talk about, how to manifest money and the things that we should do. Some people talk about the things you need to do to make it happen. Very few people add the third component, which is how to create a plan to make it happen. And I don't know many people then talk about the fourth thing, which says, now let's talk about how should we do things around. Now our minds are ready. We have the plan. How do we manage money in a way that matches your unique personality? Because if I'm going to put an underline to this whole session, it should be allowing you to sleep at night. That's what we're trying to do. Okay.
Yes, because exactly. Because as you said, even your wealthy friend, he worries all the time. And so there is a way to, even if you're not super rich, but you're comfortable to kind of create this peace of mind. That's what everyone is striving for ultimately. That's why we want financial independence and freedom. So, but sometimes it brings even more worries with it. And the most important thing is how to and not only how to get there, but how to manage it so we're peaceful about it. And maybe, sorry, yeah.
No, do you want to say something? Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, no, do you?
Okay, I was gonna jump in and say the ideas that I talk about, Lada, are very pragmatic, and they're ideas that I've lived and that I live every day. So, have you ever tried to stand on a ball and you realize you can never really relax? Well, this is life, right? You don't arrive and all of a sudden you just have no more problems. You have to stand on a ball and continually shift your weight. Well, to that example, I want to explain. A few years ago, as I started to become more and more successful, I invested in a vineyard and I've started a winery. And now we're in a key crucial part of our survival. And I took over as a chairman of the winery in January. And I'll tell you, we had some daunting problems, some real challenges. And I had to apply these very same things to the point that now, 7 months later, we're flying.
Really? So, you turned it around again.
Yeah, wow. It has. So these are things that we use.
So it's for everything, whether it's a bank, a wine business, a personal, how you're spending your personal money. All it's similar steps, basically.
Yeah. In fact, Lada, we can take some of these sections as deep as your listeners would like, or not. But one of the things is there's individuals who are looking for wealth by creating their own business. There's a lot of people looking for financial freedom by working inside a large organization. Those are two different circumstances, and we can talk about the mindset and the pathway for both. The process looks roughly the same. We'll change a couple of labels, but I've succeeded. I succeeded within an organizational structure, and was very, very fortunate that it all worked the way I wanted it to work. It had some very non-conventional or unconventional steps. People many times in my career said, "You're crazy. Why are you doing this to do that?" But I was playing a game 3 steps ahead, saying, okay, sometimes you go around a rock rather than over the rock. And so that was in a career and in a job. We can talk about that because we have a role in our career. Likewise, and again, if you guys are thinking about having your own business, you want to talk about business success, that's the winery has given me an example of an organization that is just in the growth phase, trying to struggle to make it, and has made enormous strides. And then the third experience that I could share is as a member of a board of a digital bank startup in London. So I go to London every month for 4 days, and I'm on the board of directors. And we're starting a bank from the ground up. And again, that's been amazingly helpful in terms of applying these concepts. So to whatever degree you guys want to talk about, we can do. I can talk for. I think in this webinar, I'm ready to go for a couple of hours. You can tell I make it take a long time to say anything. But we'll also do a Q&A, and we can go into any of these topics you guys want. I'll tell you, I think it'll be extremely useful. And if you apply some of these things, and a lot of you have applied them, you'll remember some of them, by the way. But if people apply them, there's no reason in the world why it won't work. It just can't not work, is my opinion. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, so it's not like some people think I'll never be rich. It's not in my destiny. There are steps to get out of that.
Yep, that's exactly right. And it starts with the mind. The mind will hold you back or it'll accelerate it. And keep in mind, little subtle thing here real quickly. I'm going to provide motivation and information. So motivation is what comes from the outside, or it can come from the inside, by the way. But it's something that says, okay, I'm going to go do this. But what you're looking for and what I'm going to challenge you all to do, I'm going to challenge you all to understand what is inspiration. Inspire means literally fill your lungs. Inspire. And inspire is in everybody here. So many people say, what should I do? What should I do? I don't know anything. I don't do anything. No. Inside you is inspiration. And let's uncover that. And let's figure out how to take motivation to unlock your inspiration.
So how to take something from outside to create your own inspiration.
Yep.
Wonderful.
If it doesn't, motivation is nothing more than a caffeine hit. It's nothing more than, look, let's talk about Twitter and Instagram. I love them. I post on them every week, and it's really interesting. However, I have so many sayings every single day on the secrets of life that I actually don't even read them hardly anymore. So they're trying to motivate me through these postings of mountains and unicorns and clouds and rainbows, right? And wow, that's beautiful, but it doesn't last long. So it's got maybe a big effect on any given day, but the length of that effect, the length of that motivation is very short because it's not specific to my inspiration. So that's an important part of it.
Well, thank you. Maybe now we can take some questions from people who are watching us. And people saying inspiration. I'm always inspired on this channel. Thank you, Lada. Guys, Mike is here to answer your specific questions. I don't want to keep him too long, but you're welcome to get free advice now. If you have any questions you can ask about anything, because Mike is also can advise about relationships, but specifically it's about wealth and resources and finances. If you have any interesting questions, guys, share them here. Of course, not astrological. So because that's something I cannot, because astrological shows what is fated, and Mike Amato is trying to show you that you can have what is fated with a little bit more hard work, but you can go about it. Okay. Someone is asking, are there any books you recommend to align to wealth consciousness?
You know what, I'd start with, if you know Abraham Hicks, by Esther Hicks. You guys, if you haven't read that book, it's called, I'm sorry, that's the author. The name of the book is called Ask and It Is Given. And I'll tell you what, I love that book for mindset, and also describes, it's basically about how to get your vibration in the right place with some very, very practical exercises to help you do it. An example, I'll give you one of them if it helps. Get a checkbook and write yourself a check for the amount of money that you want to have. And then write checks for where you spend that money. Make it fun.
I've done that. I have it on my wall. I've put kind of obscene amount, but I put the date, and I'm looking forward to that date.
Yeah, and have fun with it. Play with it. One day, make it for $50 million. The next day, make it for $10,000 and say, you know what, if I had $10,000, I would do 3 things with it. And write checks for that amount to those 3 things. It's really kind of fun. And there's a lot of exercises that are like that, but it's all about vibration and getting yourself ready for success. So to me, that's a first and foremost authority in terms of how to get the vibration in the right place.
Yes.
Regarding,
and of course, then you have to do the practical steps, which you are great at giving advice on.
That's it. So I found out in business that my specialty is to take very complex information, and typically it's around, in banking, it's always been around financial instruments or the economy or global economic risk, things like this. And I'm a so what guy. I don't like to have knowledge just to have knowledge. So I want to know, okay, so what does this mean? And I have the ability to sort of break it down to something quite simple. I'll tell you what, if you go to my channel, the person who asked that question, let me think about a couple of other books for you. And if you go to my channel and send me a message, say, hi, Mike, it's me that asked that question, I'll send you a couple books, because right now, the one I say is the one is asking is given. And
for me, that's the best book as well. I would say that it's helped me a lot to overcome a bit of this negative, poor consciousness I have.
Let me tell you, it's helped me. There's times in my life where it was very, very close to nothing, right? So I'm either on a rocket ship to the stars, or I am going, this thing's going to blow up on me. And so I used to have hair, okay? So I've been through some really tense situations. And again, that book helps a lot. But there's a couple of others. So please go to Mike Amato Spark on YouTube. Or you can go to, if you want to go to Facebook, it's Why Not You? And by the way, I believe in all of you, so Why Not You? By Mike Amato. Go one of those places, send me a message or make a comment, or however you want to get it to me. But get it to me, and I'll give you a couple more books that I think will really help.
Perfect. Okay, we have another question. Ahmed is asking, can you talk about the importance of investing? Is this something we should do if we want to make money, or should we, what? Yeah, I'm curious in that as well.
Okay, good. Yeah, so when you think about money, okay, there's two different ways to think about it, and we sometimes interchange the two. One is creating wealth, creating an income, increasing our income, and think of that as a river. That's your cash flow. Mm-hmm. The other one is how much wealth we have, and that's a lake that's fed by the river. Uh-huh. Okay, so this question about investing, you would think of it as a lake topic, because you certainly want to do it from some of the river. You want to move some of the, think of the flow of money from the river into investing. But investing is the third tier in creating wealth. The first tier is protection. So you want to make sure that you're managing your debt, and you want to make sure that you are you're controlling your debt, making it work for you, not you work for your debt. Second one is saving, and it's, pay yourself first. I'll tell you that right now. That then gives you a seed. It gives you a lake, if you will. Maybe it's a pond, but it can become a lake, to then start investing. And investing is really crucial, because Ahmed, the way you said this is perfectly correct. That is the way to create wealth, is to have a wealth creation plan, and investing does that. Now, there's different ways to do it and different tools to do it. And I would never make that value judgment. A lot of people jump to the value judgment saying it must be stocks, it must be partnerships, it must be real estate. But I'll tell you, I think that's very, very personal. And it's really going to be up to each individual to say that. But there are investment strategies that balance risk, reward, think of liquidity, think of taxes, and you bring all those to bear, those decisions, and saying, where should you put your money so that it's going to grow into a bigger lake? And so it's absolutely crucial for creating wealth.
So is it better to invest in many different things, or in one main thing? What is wiser to do?
Well, if you know exactly what you're doing, it's okay to invest in one thing, but that's really scary, really hard. So if you are doing something yourself and you're really confident in yourself, you know what you're doing, invest all in yourself and go for it. You'll get a bigger return. That's higher risk. A lower risk strategy is to diversify, and you diversify when you're maybe somewhat uncertain about what's going to happen. And I have to say, like most of us, diversity is very, very wise. There's a few times when you bet big, but you better be certain. If you have doubts, diversify. When I was a financial advisor, I used to talk about people about choosing a portfolio of stocks. And if there was 5 stocks that we put in the portfolio, 2 would not do what we wanted. 1 would perform maybe as expected, and 2 others would exceed the performance. So it's really tough to know which ones, otherwise everybody would be rich. So diversify is much more wise, and it's a way to reduce risk.
That's what rich people, I've heard, do, actually. You know better because you know them. That they have a few different sources of income. They never just go fully all in on one side. So that's the wiser thing. Yeah. Okay, so someone is asking, Mike, do you think college is a scam?
Okay, this is a big question. I like this. For me, college changed my life. I have to tell you, college changed my life. only because it gave me time. And I had to go to school. I had to pay for my own college. I had to get loans. And I had to move home at 24 years old so I could finish my last 2 years of school because I didn't graduate until I was 26. So my first view in life was it was a scam. I didn't get it. Was getting nothing out of it because I had no direction. Okay. But I went to work for 3 years and I saw the value of just letting myself grow and talk about risk-free environment. That's college. So it allowed me to grow and I learned a whole lot. I learned a different way, a different language, and I almost learned the language of business and how to win at that game. It's a game, and how can you win at that game? So college was, to me, it changed my life. However, I had to wait till I was 24 to go back to really get the value. You guys, I have to tell you, I was a grade point average of like on a scale of 1 to 4. Okay, 0 meant maybe I had a heart attack in class and I never went back. But 1 to 4, and I had a grade point average very, very close to 2.5, which is shockingly low, right? When I stopped, I went to work for 3 years, and I had some fun experiences I won't tell you about, but I can tell you anytime you want to ask me. But when I went back to school at 24, I just got it, you guys. I guess my mind had developed to the point where I was driven. I knew what I wanted, and I wanted to get through it quickly. And I graduated finally with a university degree at 26 with honors. So magna cum laude was grade point average of 3.72, 3.73, right in that range. So yeah, 3.72, sorry. And so what a difference it made. So that's answer number one. Answer number two is my son. My daughter went to school, became a nurse, loves it. She's in a career. Everything's going great for her. My son went to school. If he liked the class, he got an A. He's super smart. But if he didn't like the class, he got an F. I mean, a 0. And so he came to me and said, Dad, I just don't like college. I'm going to make it without going to college. And I'm just certain. And I asked him a question about certainty. And he said, I'm certain it's not for me. It will do nothing for me. And I just don't want to spend that money. I don't want to owe you money. I don't want to owe the bank money. I want to go and get to work. And I said, great, go do that. He's 26 now, and he's doing a fabulous job in his own company. So in fact, I learned a lot from him. So is it a scam? I don't know if it's a scam, but it's certainly not for everybody. It's certainly not a prerequisite to success. But boy, it sure helped me to learn that when I knew and I was ready to really apply myself in a direction, it really helped me a lot.
So basically, if you are avoiding university, you really have to be set and certain that you can be a self-start and make your own business. Otherwise, it's preferable to have a university degree. It sounds by it.
Yeah, that's a really good way to say it. And in fact, I'm going to change an answer, because what you just said came to my mind is that if you think of university as an incubator, that's a great place to go, because when you're 18 years old, maybe you have no clue of what you want to do. Mm-hmm. And it's a safe place to go and understand, explore. It's a one time in your life when it's all about you. Maybe not the one time in your life it's all about you, but it's a time in your life when it's all about you. And you can learn so many things if you do it with curiosity and exploration. You can find a path to something that's going to really strike you, because you're really looking for inspiration in an incubator. So if you go at it for that, great. If you go and say, I'm going to do my 4 years and get a degree, and then what will happen? Well, I'll just say that the degree better be in something specific. Like an engineer goes to school, they get their degree in engineering, they're an engineer. Go be one. If you're going to be a nurse, you go to the nursing school and you get a degree, be a nurse. But if you're in business or art, you're not a businessman and you're not an artist. So,
that's true.
So it all depends on what you're looking for. But so I feel like I'm giving a squishy answer, but that's as honest as I can be, Ahmed, and I hope it helps. Is that Ahmed's question?
Yeah, no, I sure that's, especially if you don't know what you want to do, but you're trying to discover yourself, maybe that will help. But yeah, or people that go to university and really benefit from it, they usually also know, like, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be a nurse. Okay, someone is asking, any advice on attracting clients and keeping them?
Heck yeah, I have lots of advice about that. It may depend on your specific business. Let me give you a general answer as best as I can do. But so my career, and I'm sorry, I'm going to use my experience to explain, and also give me time to think of a wonderful answer. But in my experience, what I noticed in banking, and I was able to differentiate my proposition. See, I looked at my career as my personal brand, and I was trying to announce and express my personal brand. And just like your business, when you're looking at your customer base, you're trying to create a brand and express that brand. And so it's whether it's a career or your business, it's an exact same thing, exact same process. And in that, in my mind, differentiation was hugely important, because if I do the same thing as everybody else, how do I stand out? So, in my mind, what happens is, and what happened in the people around me, how I differentiated was a lot of business people would look at financial results as the beginning of the conversation. We need to make $10,000. We need to make, in the case of the bank I worked for, I remember one time the boss came and said, we need to make 250 million more pounds this year. It's like, oh, you mean
out of thin air?
As if I was just waiting to hear that so I could go make 250 million pounds. So the funny thing is, we put the financial outcome first, right? Now, in your business, the way to deal with customers. So what I did was differentiate myself by saying everything that I did flowed through the customer mindset. And I wanted to know my customers, have intense knowledge about them and what they were looking for, and how our proposition resonated with them or how it didn't resonate. So when you talk about, the customer experience in this question, I'm making a very simple question difficult. But when you talk about the customer experience, really the question is, how can you bring your brand to life through your proposition, meaning your product, and how can you do it in a differentiating fashion? And I'll tell you, step one is don't cause pain. So many times we create business processes that make it painful for the customer. But step two, let's say you've already done that. Step two is then, how do you leverage that relationship with the client? How do you connect with that client? And I can tell you guys, if we had the social media tools that we had today, I would never have a disappointed client at my bank. And by the way, we had 14 million clients, okay? I can promise you they would never be disappointed with what we could do for them, because we could have connected in ways at that time that were just impossible. But today they're totally possible. So that's my suggestion, is always seek differentiation with your clients. Look at authentically delivering your proposition to them in a differentiating fashion, and then connect.
Yeah, I've heard that even Coca-Cola now never answers generically, but they have a Facebook page where they personally answer with the name, hello, Erica, whatever, and they make it personal. So that's one of the things that, at least what I can also give as an advice, is make it personal and try and answer all the communications with your clients. And another advice, give a lot of free information. That's what people love you for. You have to, if you start going marketing only on them and trying to only sell without giving some free advice and information, it's just never going to work. And that's also the law of the universe. You give some free. I would give 90% of my time free, and I receive only 10% back, but this 10% is more than enough to create financial abundance and freedom in my life currently, and to attract me the right clients. And I would spend, even my husband gets upset, because I would spend sometimes 5 hours answering emails to people who never paid or anything. They're asking me about astrology stuff, or writing articles that I post for free, or doing videos that I post for free. And the first 2-3 years, it wasn't paying me anything. And then bam, then it's like almost like the universe. So people started appreciating it and loving it. And some of them even waited for 5 years of me answering them free questions before they ordered something, and they started ordering one after another. So you kind of build, if you don't have the time for that, at least try to, to be personal with your clients more, to appreciate them, that you can contact with them directly. Anyway, someone says, Mike, does it take money to make money?
The chicken and the egg. Of course, it's nice to have money, but it's not necessary. In fact, my assumption is, most of us talking about it, Lada, myself, maybe you, had to create it had to kind of start something from close to zero.
I remember your wife. She bought me my astrology software because I didn't have money to buy it 7 years ago. If it wasn't for her to give me this gift. So I started with total zero. Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's exactly right. And she actually helped you a lot more than I helped you, I'll tell you that. But listen, my assumption is in everything that I'm speaking about is that you're really starting from zero or close to zero. Now, listen, built in your question, though, a lot of people that don't have money will say, well, I can't play that game because I'm not in. It's only for a select few. It's really, not for me. And I'll tell you what, that is a cycle of thinking that deploys or activates self-limiting beliefs. And you must fight that, because I will tell you right now, the beauty is that you can attain what it is that you seek. I promise you, I guarantee you, you can. But if you think you can't, you're right, you won't. And a lot of people that I know, actually from some friends from high school, when I was first starting to go to work every day and they were not going to work and they were saying how silly I was and what's going on, all of a sudden, one of them noticed I was moving up. He said, gee, what are you doing? What's your secret? I'm like, number one, I go to work. So I didn't have anything to start. He said, well, that's just not for me because I guess I'm just never going to have anything. You're just lucky. It's like, okay, if you think that, you're right. But it was insulting to me because I literally had to build from the ground up. So if the question says, is wealth or high income or this conversation for you? My answer is yes. And you should put me on your team, by the way, because the information I'm going to share with you are things that helped me to become success. I was going to say made me the man I am, but that's too far reaching because a lot of things did that. But absolutely, you can make money from nothing. And I'll tell you what, and I'll tell you how I can prove it. One quick story. When I was in London, I had a barber, and this was back before the Syrian crisis. He's a Syrian barber and from Damascus. And I asked him, I said, what will people think if an American goes to Syria right now? He goes, I'll tell you what they'll think. You go to the U.S. Embassy and look at the line of people begging to get in the U.S. And this is pre-crisis, okay? Begging to get in the U.S. because they know there they have a chance. And when you see people come into our country and succeed, and they do it in small little ways, they start with one the donut shop, fingernail shop, or whatever the restaurant, and then they end up with 10, 12 franchises. Things like this happen all the time, but I don't know if you're American who asked the question, but we have that ability to do that. Not every country does. They don't in Syria, I can tell you that, especially not right now. So I'm making the question bigger than it really was, but please don't have that belief that it's not for you. And please don't have the belief that say you can't do it because you weren't born to certain circumstances. I can tell you, the wonderful woman at the other end of one side of the camera named Lada had started from nothing. And she's a definition of creating a snowball that's growing and growing. And I'm amazed at watching her. You watch Lada in a year from now. You guys watch. And so that's point number one. And then point number two, the other person at this camera, who is me, obviously. And as you get to know me, and again, keep asking me questions, you could tell I answer long answers, but it's to share with you from my heart that you guys, I started seriously with like $800 in the account that I earned by making $4 a janitor.
And I think also the biggest secret is willing to work hard. Like, it doesn't hurt. Like keeping up with it, even when everyone says it's not worth it, it's not going to work. And I just kept on and on and on. I tried for 5 years to start this business. Nothing happened, but I kept saying, I have nothing else to do. So I'll keep trying. And then one day just started. And it started flowing. It's almost like the universe wants to test you first. And it does not allow you the success. And it's in so many people I see it. It does not allow the success for a long time to test you how committed you are to success, how much you're going to put in that. And once you've proven that you're there for the long run, it's the doors of abundance start opening. And as you said, I started with nothing, you started with nothing. So there is no, so yes, you can do it. Money can be made from nothing as long as you're willing to put the hard work.
Yep. And I'll tell you what, Lada, I have to say, I have so much love for everybody who's really trying to figure these things out. I have so much love. And that love in my answers and my responses, and when you write me a letter, I'll write you back. But it really is important to me. And that's why I like to talk about these things so much, again, because I've been so fortunate. I was not lucky. I was fortunate. The difference is lucky means I bought a lottery ticket and I won it. And I had nothing to do with that other than buying the ticket. Fortunate means I have a hand in my success. And I'll tell you, I have a lot more pride at creating my own my own financial freedom than I would if I bought a lottery ticket. I quit buying lottery tickets years and years ago.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the last thing I do. And a last question.
Yeah.
What is the principal system to consistently creating and managing successful businesses as if it were agriculture, metaphorically speaking? Basically, like it keeps giving and giving and consistently being
Okay.
creating successful. I don't know. That's a big question.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Whoever's asked that question, do you have the person's name there? I can use it in this answer.
That is Hassan.
Kasant?
Hassan.
Hassan. Okay. Hassan, you must know the answer. You couldn't ask such a beautifully written question. But I'll tell you, um, the system for doing that, it's actually surprisingly simple. And I love the aspiration, right? So as if it's agriculture, meaning it's growing, that it's feeding many people, that it's a business that's balanced with humanity, but also a good result so that the business thrives and continues to grow. And I start the system that I would say is I create a system that says know your customer and know how your product is relevant to them or service, know how it's relevant to them, because that's whose lives you're trying to make better by existing. If you do that, then you create and deliver a product with processes that make it easy for people to do business with you. That shows that you honor your customers and that you love and respect them. So you're going to make that easy. Next, hey, I hear the baby. Next, the key thing is then to talk about it and promote it, because a business, like any plant, thrives on intaking new customers all the time. Okay. You want to know why every customer leaves and where you failed. And you want to know how come every customer joins you and welcome them with open arms, because any business, any thriving agriculture business needs, any thriving business, as if it's agriculture, needs obviously new customers. And you should set very, very healthy and robust growth rates, okay? Because that's absolutely vital. And then you need to learn how to go out and reach the people that are not your customers and bring them into the organization. So think of it as a number of steps that encapsulate um, customer insights. Your employees who are empowered, they should be empowered to help the customer. Whenever a customer
Yeah.
contacts you, it's either to buy something or to fix a problem. Empower your employees to do that. Train them. So best and brightest employees and talent. Third, I'm going to go fingers now instead of this way because I ran out of camera space. Third, I'll repeat, processes that make it easy, make it simple. Fourth, communications and marketing communications that feed the machine. You want to create a business that there's a machine of people coming in. And if you lose somebody, understand why and what you can do and invite them to come back another day. Okay. Last, understand what it will take to keep your company thriving. Control your expenses, maximize your income, and invest wisely in processes and products that resonate. And so it becomes kind of a cycle and a virtuous circle. And that's such a great question. If that doesn't answer your question, please write to me. Please find me and write to me, and we'll take another stab at it. But that's how I see the system or the process that works. And again, just like anything, it's surprisingly simple, but it eludes the majority of businesses, in my opinion.
Can I also add something that I've
Please.
noticed from my experience? Be as honest as possible. Because sometimes I even feel like, oh, I can make so much money from this, so I can take a bigger chunk from it, and no one will know. But I promised to myself, and I said I will never, never take even $1 more from someone that, that I work with lots of people, or from a client more. So this is about integrity. And even if you're losing and if you find yourself feeling stupid, if you've promised something to do it. And somehow I believe the universe will, after that, reward you by your honesty.
That's beautiful, Lada. I really love what you just added, because that's the culture piece. And your organization should operate with a culture that's authentic to you and to deliberately create culturally what you're trying to create. Integrity is a massive important, because if your customers can't trust you, you don't have a relationship. And so many organizations today are failing so badly because they've lost sight of this system, and all they do is look at making money. And you can see it happening.
And even for the employees, I would say that for the employees as well that you work with, it's very important to have this towards them. As you said, empowering them. So say they love you, so they give it 100%, or give them higher salaries even, or give them higher percentage or whatever that's give them incentive and give them recognition. And, you know, this is what's been helping me a lot as well.
Love, integrity and love. I love what you're saying, Lada, because if you have integrity and you add the love that Lada just mentioned, you won't look for, when you get a talented employee, they will never leave you, because so few businesses are able to incorporate love into the culture. And you love the ones that work out well, invite the ones that don't work out well to go work somewhere else, and then love the new ones that you hire. But your employee base should be empowered, they should be talented, and that should also be like an agriculture business as well.
Well, thank you so much, Mike. I'm not going to keep you anymore. We took a whole hour of your time. You gave some amazing advice, and I'm so looking forward for the 12th of August for the webinar on how to achieve financial independence, starting from the financial freedom, starting from the mindset and going to specific practical steps for that. Guys, the first 2 weeks, it's only $45 for the webinar, and after it becomes $65. And yeah, try and get your seat as quickly as possible. And by the way, this webinar will take almost a whole hour of answering specific questions for everyone. It will be like a workshop almost. So yeah, prepare your questions, personal specific questions for your business, or for specifically whatever area you're interested in regards to money, finances, wealth, business. And Mike will give you his advice. So
yes, and we have to, just due to technological reasons, we have to cut off registration at 1 million people. So please hurry.
Yes, wealthy mindset. Thank you so much, Mike. And I'm looking forward to having you here again to speak about different topics as well, or to do Q&A again, because I think people are also enjoying when you are answering questions. I'm enjoying it tremendously as well.
I love it.
Oh, wonderful. So we can have you again here on the show to answer questions to people that managed to catch us, live. So thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. You've been a fantastic audience. People are saying more of those videos. I love supplementing the esoteric with the practical. Wonderful. I'm glad we're going in the right direction. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Say hi to Rumi.
I will. Ciao.
Bye.
Bye-bye.